Hammer supporters, before we dive into today's news, remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments what you think about West Ham's current situation. West Ham head into their trip to face historic rivals Tottenham Hotspur with far more than simple bragging rights at stake. The match carries emotional weight, sporting pressure, and a direct impact on the fight against relegation. Both Nuno Espirito Santo and Thomas Frank are dealing with major selection headaches, but the situation surrounding Lucas Paqueta dominates the build-up to the London derby. The pressure on both managers is intense, although, curiously, it is Thomas Frank who appears most under threat. Recent information suggests that defeat against West Ham could cost the Tottenham boss his job. It underlines the reality of two clubs that have underperformed for 2 consecutive seasons. Last campaign, Spurs narrowly avoided relegation by finishing 17th, while the Hammers ended up 14th. This season, beyond the halfway point, the picture remains bleak. Tottenham have shown little improvement and sit 14th once again. West Ham's situation is even more alarming, marooned in the relegation zone and 8 points from safety. Many now view the Hammers as near certainties for the drop, but a victory over their rivals could reignite belief, especially with tough fixtures facing other relegation candidates. That context makes the short journey to North London absolutely vital. Since arriving, Nuno Espirito Santo has frequently pointed to bad luck, but this time, circumstances may finally tilt in his favor. Tottenham could be without as many as 7 key players, although West Ham themselves are battling serious absences and internal turmoil. Nuno is expected to make 4 significant changes to his starting lineup, with 2 major omissions. Lucas Paqueta, surrounded by constant speculation about a return to Flamengo, has been at the center of intense discussions all week. Talks took place on Friday, and a January deal increasingly looks possible. The midfielder missed the FA Cup tie against QPR with a back problem, triggering accusations internally of a lack of transparency. The situation became even more sensitive when it emerged that Tottenham had also made an approach for Paqueta, swiftly rejected by the player. Nuno called for a rapid resolution, but all indications suggest the Brazilian will not feature in the derby, leaving a significant creative void. Another likely absentee is Matheus Fernandes, one of West Ham's more consistent performers this season, known for his energy and intensity in midfield. He also missed the QPR match and has trained alone all week as he works his way back to fitness. His absence further complicates Nuno's plans, particularly with Tottenham set to be strengthened by the arrival of Conor Gallagher. Tottenham's own injury list is extensive. Top scorer Richarlison is sidelined, while former Hammer Mohamed Kudus, one of Spurs' standout players, is out until April. Lucas Bergvall and Rodrigo Bentancur are also unavailable, alongside long-term absentees Dejan Kulusevski and James Maddison. Pape Sarr remains away at the Africa Cup of Nations, as does West Ham's El Hadji Malik Diouf, both preparing for the final against Morocco. With so many variables, Nuno's decisions could define the outcome. Konstantinos Mavropanos may miss out with a neck injury, opening the door for Max Kilman in defense. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is expected to replace Ali Scarles, with the possibility of switching flanks alongside Kyle Walker-Peters. In midfield, the absence of both Paqueta and Fernandes points towards Freddie Potts and Sungutu Magasa returning to the starting 11. Before we carry on, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. This is really important because it strengthens the Claret and Blue family, making our West Ham bigger and stronger every day. West Ham United continue to push forward in the January transfer window, and a familiar name from Chelsea's past has emerged as a potential reinforcement. The club remain active in their search for new signings, and a former Stamford Bridge player, now impressing on the continent, is being discussed internally as a possible return to the Premier League. Nuno Espirito Santo knows that urgent action is required to strengthen the defensive line if the Hammers are to stand any realistic chance of avoiding relegation to the Championship. January business at the London Stadium is in full flow, with both departures and arrivals expected, but the priority is clear: securing a top-class centre-back before the window closes. The assessment behind the scenes is blunt. The current defensive options have not delivered the required level, and Max Kilman has failed to convince. Nuno believes an upgrade on the former Wolves defender is essential this winter if West Ham are to stabilize at the back. In that context, an exciting young defender has entered the conversation, one that Chelsea supporters will know well. Reports indicate that West Ham are discussing a move for Sporting Braga centre-back Bright Ari Mbi during this transfer window. Ari Mb spent 5 years at Chelsea between 2014 and 2019 before leaving London to join Bayern Munich. He later moved to Hannover 96 in 2023 and, just 12 months on, completed a switch to Braga, where he has quickly established himself as a key figure. Now, there is a growing sense that his career could come full circle, with a return to London firmly on the cards this winter. The German under-21 international stands at 6 feet 2 inches, is dominant in the air thanks to his remarkable leap, and combines physical strength with impressive pace and tenacity in the tackle. While he lacks experience of Premier League football, Ari Mbi is widely regarded as a highly talented young defender. Some argue that West Ham need a more seasoned option to address immediate concerns, but there is also recognition that he could represent a smart investment for the future. If the Hammers were able to secure the former Chelsea youngster in January, alongside another proven central defender, it would be viewed internally as extremely astute business, balancing long-term planning with the urgent demands of survival. Before we carry on, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. This is really important because it strengthens the Claret and Blue family, making our West Ham bigger and stronger every day. West Ham approach one of the most delicate moments in their recent history. The trip to North London to face Tottenham is far more than another derby fueled by rivalry. It is a match loaded with tension, suspicion, hope, and decisions that could redefine the club's entire season. On and off the pitch, everything feels on edge, and Nuno Espirito Santo finds himself walking a razor-thin line between collapse and revival. The pressure is not exclusive to the Hammers. Tottenham are also living through dark days, shaped by performances well below expectations over the past 2 seasons. The figures are alarming. A 17th place finish last year, narrowly avoiding relegation, followed by another deeply underwhelming campaign. Even so, West Ham's reality is harsher still. Stuck in the relegation zone and 8 points from safety, the club is increasingly labeled by many as destined for the drop. A heavy tag, but one that can be challenged on the ground of their fiercest rivals. That is why this fixture takes on such dramatic weight. Beating Tottenham would not simply deliver moral satisfaction, but a direct blow in the table and a psychological lift. With fellow strugglers facing brutal fixtures, a single victory could reopen doors that currently look firmly shut. Nuno understands that better than anyone. Since his arrival, he has spoken of bad luck and fine margins. This time, fate appears to be offering him a rare opening. Tottenham arrived depleted, carrying a long list of absentees that directly weaken their collective strength. Key figures are unavailable, technical pillars are missing, and the squad will be patched together for a derby that demands the highest level. Yet West Ham carry their own ghosts, and perhaps heavier ones. The crisis is not only physical, but institutional, emotional, and symbolic. At the heart of the storm stands Lucas Paqueta. His name dominates headlines, dressing room conversations, and internal debate. Talks over a possible return to Flamengo intensified, meetings took place, and the feeling is that his chapter at the club may be nearing its end. His absence from the FA Cup, attributed to a back issue, opened a deep wound. Internal accusations followed, trust eroded, and the sense grew that the relationship between player and club has reached a breaking point. The situation became even more fragile when Tottenham's own interest in Paqueta emerged. The player's response was immediate, making clear that was not an option. Even so, the episode exposed vulnerabilities and piled further pressure on Nuno, who called for swift clarity. All signs suggest the midfielder will miss the derby, leaving behind a creative and emotional void that is painfully difficult to fill. As if that were not enough, Matheus Fernandes is also expected to be absent. One of the few players consistently delivering intensity, energy, and competitiveness, he spent the week training alone as he focuses on recovery. His absence strips even more balance from midfield and forces Nuno into a complete rethink of the team's structure. Without Paqueta and without Fernandes, West Ham lose both their brain and their lungs in one stroke. The defense, the most fragile sector of the season, demands maximum attention. Injuries, erratic performances, and a lack of confidence have turned every match into an exercise in survival. With Konstantinos Mavropanos potentially sidelined, Nuno is likely to turn to Max Kilman, while reshuffling the fullback positions with Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Kyle Walker-Peters. In midfield, Freddie Potts and Sungutu Magasa emerge as emergency solutions, players who know the club but now carry immense responsibility. While the team fights for its present, the club's gaze is fixed firmly on the future. The January transfer window has become a matter of urgency. The board know that without reinforcements, survival becomes almost impossible. The pursuit of a top-class center-back is treated as a question of sporting life or death. This is not about recruitment for its own sake, but about correcting a structural flaw that has drained points, belief, and identity. It is within that context that the name Bright Ari MB enters the picture. Young, powerful, quick, with a background at Chelsea and recent experience in competitive European leagues. He is seen as a strategic investment, a player who could grow alongside the club. Yet the dilemma is clear. West Ham need immediate answers. Raw talent without Premier League seasoning may not be enough to put out today's fires. The internal debate mirrors the club's wider struggle. Planning for tomorrow while recognizing that today is urgent. Finding balance between rebuilding and survival. Perhaps the solution lies in doing both at once, backing youth, while also securing someone with experience, authority, and presence in the dressing room. For now, everything funnels into the derby. 90 minutes that can reshape narratives. A match capable of reigniting belief among a wounded, exhausted, but never indifferent fan base. West Ham step onto the pitch under pressure, depleted and questioned. Yet they also carry something the league table cannot show, the chance to change the course of their season. Whether they fall or fight back remains unknown. But in Tottenham, it will not be just football. It will be survival. And that's all for today's West Ham news. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with fellow fans, and of course, subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Come on, you Irons!